Good morning, guys. In the previous class, I discussed this topic, that is a specification of tokens, which is a 2.8 in my notes. 2.8, the topic is specification of tokens. And inside this main topic, what all the things we have studied are, we have studied about what are languages and what are strings. Okay. Then after that, what we did, after that we have studied some basic definitions about these strings: prefix, suffix, substring, proper prefix, proper suffix, proper substring, and subsequence. These all things we have studied, and also very important operations on languages, what we can perform, those also we have seen. Then we have seen some regular expressions and rules of these regular expressions we have seen, that is the basis and induction. Okay, basis rules and induction rules for regular expressions. Then we have seen some exercise examples. Okay, then we have seen extensions of these regular expression. Okay, okay, this much I think we have studied, and I had given some assignments also. Some of you, many of you have sent the assignments. Very good. Then today let me to go to next topic, that is recognition of tokens. You see, just observe and understand this topic, main topic, that is we are going to recognize something. What we are going to recognize? We are going to recognize tokens. You know the basic funda behind our compilation process. The first two phases I am discussing here, that is lexical analysis and then syntax analysis. Lexical analysis, for lexical analysis, analyzer or scanner takes a sequence of characters from our source program, and it groups them into the different lexemes, and from these lexemes we can create the tokens. So now we are going to identify, we are going to recognize these tokens, because tokens are for our identifiers, tokens are for number, tokens are for variables, tokens for keywords, tokens for operators. Okay, so now we are going to see how to write, how to express these tokens. Okay, and how to identify these tokens. So till now what we had seen only how to write or how to describe or how to express the patterns. Okay, so how exactly the patterns look like, and to describe these patterns we have used some regular expressions there. Okay, so regular expressions, regular definitions already you understood. Now we are going to do, what we are going to do is how to take these patterns, how to select these patterns for our required tokens. It means that for particularly for identifier, how you select the pattern, for keywords, how you select the pattern. So that thing we are going to see today. So here I am going to show you in this figure 3.10, I am going to show you one grammar. Okay, so don't worry what you mean by grammar right now. Don't worry, I will tell you the definition of grammar later. Once again, today just I briefly tell you the meaning of this grammar. Okay, in English language, what do you mean by grammar? Grammar is nothing but some set of rules, right? A set of rules for that language. Similarly, here also, for our compiler designing, we have some grammars. So grammar is nothing but a set of rules, okay, which are going to define that language. Grammar is nothing but here rules which are going to define the language, or else they will describe the language constructs. Language constructs means they will describe, or they will express the language constructs, like if statement, if else statement, nested if else, for loop, while loop, like this. They will explain, they will describe our language, or else our language constructs. Okay, so here also we have, in this diagram we have some set of rules here. Okay, totally 7 rules are here. Why 7? You know, first first statement is there, no, this is defining like this. This first line is one rule, second rule, third rule, fourth, fifth, sixth and seventh. 7 rules are here. Okay, and if you observe, as I already told you, here if you write like this, actually it is called as a regular definition, because you are defining the regular expressions. You know, here RHS side of this arrow mark, whatever I have written here, these all are regular expressions. So if you give a name to these regular expression, then it is nothing but you are defining that regular expression. Then you can call it as a regular definition. This already you know. Okay, that name you have written at the left side, that name you have given as a STMT, that is statement. Okay, the statement can take the form, for if statement, it would be like this. If statement may be like this: if keyword followed by one condition or expression followed by then keyword followed by a executable statement. Our simple if statement it is. Okay, and the same statement can be in this form also: if followed by expression then statement, then else then statement. It means that it is a if else statement. And statement may be any empty string also. So these are the possible for the statement. So then here RHS side, whatever you have written now in bold letters, whatever I am showing you here, if then okay, if then else, these are, if else then, these are called as terminals. Remember, hello guys, please remember whatever the terms I am using in my explanation. Okay, so usually if you write our grammar like this or our regular definition like this, LHS, whatever you are writing at the LHS left side, they are called as non-terminals. Non-terminals means what? They are not end of something. Okay, they are not end of something. So they are not leaf nodes. Okay, but RHS side, whatever you are writing, no, so these are called as end points. Okay, these are called as end points. Because of that only we call them as terminals. So here non-terminals and this side terminals are there. And please remember, RHS side, I am not telling that all words whatever you are looking here, those all are not purely terminals, because here combination of both terminals and non-terminals are present here. So if then else, this type of keywords are called as terminals, because further we cannot define them. Further I cannot write a separate definition, regular definition for them. These are the end point for them. So I have written, I call them as a terminals. Okay, so in these terminals there are RHS side, there are combination of terminals as well as non-terminals are there. So just now I told you what are terminals. Then what are non-terminals? Here in italics, whatever I have written here, EXPR statement, these are EXPR statement, these are called as non-terminals. It means that these are not the end point. Still we can define them. Okay, so how to define them? It means that you know what is if then if you have written the expression here, what exactly, which form will be taken by this expression? What is the exact form of this expression? What is the exact form of this statement? We don't know. So statement already I defined here, right? And this statement may be in another form also like this, and that statement may be another form also like this, that is empty string, right? So still I can define this statement. So that's why I am telling you in italics, whatever I have written here, they are not terminals, they are non-terminals. And I don't know how exactly expressions look like, how which form they take. So expression I am defining here. Expression may be term followed by relational operator followed by term. Here also relational operator means what? Here so many relational operators are there: less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, and not equal to. These all are relational operators. In short, I have written it as a, the token name I have written it as a RELOP, that is relational operator. And relational operator, it is acting on two operands here. Those two operands I am calling them as here term. Okay, term. So you can call here operand also, no problem. Here if you observe, relational operator I have made it bold, since I cannot again define it. It is a terminal, it is. But along with this terminal, there are two non-terminals are there. One is a term and one more is a term. Because I don't know how exactly this term looks like, still I have to define it to make the compiler clear. Oh, this is a term and it looks like this. Okay, till now that compiler doesn't know, or that lexical analyzer doesn't know, or syntax analyzer doesn't know how term look like. Okay, so this is one rule or one definition for expression. And the same expression may be like this also. only one single term also we can call it as a expression. For example, a plus b, this is one arithmetic expression. Okay, a, only if you write a, that also will be called as expression. If you write only b, that also will be called as expression. So here, instead of arithmetic operators, I am taking a relational operators. For example, a is less than b. Okay, so if you write that a only, and if you eliminate less than b, then also a is called as a expression. If you write only b also, it is also an expression. So expressions can be like this: term followed by relational operator followed by term, or else expression will be only term. Clear? Now our question is how to define the term, how exactly the term looks like. What do you mean by term? In relational operator, just now one example I told you, a is less than b. So a and b I have taken as a term here, right? So what are these terms? How they look like? Of course, a and b are variables, correct? So they are nothing but identifiers, or else in the place of a and b, if you take directly some integer values or floating point values, then those floating point values and integer values are identified as a number. Okay, this is also one token for number, token name number. Okay, so term may be either identifier like a b c, some alphabets, that is variables, or else the term may be directly the number here, that is integer or floating point values. So 7 rules are here for our branching statements. What are branching statements here? If statement and if else statement. See, for our only 2 branching statements, we have written these 7 rules. Okay, so what is a statement? The possibility of statement may be like this: if then else, or else it may be only empty string also. And now the question is, what is expression? Again, expression can take these 2 forms: term, relational operator term, or else it may be simply term. Then what do you mean by term? Term may be identifier or term may be number. Okay, so in Pascal language, in I think you heard this language. Okay, Pascal is also programming language. So usually in our Pascal language, our then keyword always appears exactly as I am showing here. Okay, then will be, of course, in our C program also, when we use this then will be after expression only, but explicitly we don't write then there. We simply use in our C programming language, we simply use open brace and close braces, right? So based on that only we will understand it is then. But in Pascal, explicitly we write then. Okay, remember it. In Pascal language, we use this then almost all time after the condition expression only. Okay, it is a universal truth. Then relational operators examples I have written with pencil here: less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, and equal to, and not equal to. And if you observe here, for equal to, I have used only single equal mark here, not double equal mark. Double equal mark we use only in C language, okay, and in other programming languages. But in Pascal, here for equal, we use only single equal mark. Remember it. Okay, so you may ask me, sir, you may get doubt here, so why you have not used double equal mark here, since it is a relational operator? No, but it is assignment operator. So in Pascal language, this assignment operator itself is called as a equal operator. Remember. Okay, so this single assignment operator itself is called as a equal operator in a Pascal language. Now in C language, we write this not equal to like this, like exclamatory followed by equal mark, right? So but in our Pascal language, okay, Pascal language, we write this symbol: less than immediately followed by greater than, less than, greater than, less than, greater than is nothing but a not equal to in Pascal language. Only these 2 notations you should remember. In Pascal language, single assignment operator is nothing but our equal operator, not double equal to in Pascal language. In Pascal language, we use single assignment operator only for equality. Then for non-equality, not equal to operator looks like this in our Pascal language, that is less than, greater than, is called as not equal to in Pascal language. Okay, so then here we are going to see, as I just told you in our previous grammar, whatever I have shown you in a set of rules, there there are some terminals are there. Just now I told you what are those terminals: if, then, else, relational operator, identifier, and number, right? So what are these all things in the bold letter, whatever we had written there, these all are terminals, correct? And along with these terminals, there were some non-terminals also were there, and we have defined them also, like expression and one more thing, identifier and number. Okay, so these all things we have defined here. Sorry, what are those things? Here expression was there, and then a terminal was a term, not terminal, a term it was there, right? So these are also we have defined. So these all are non-terminals, and here collection of non-terminals and terminals are there. Okay, both combination of terminals and non-terminals are here. So here, whatever the terminals are there, no, if, then, else, relational operator, ID, and number, these are nothing but they are tokens. They are name of a tokens. And now our job is we have to write patterns for these tokens. Now we have to write the patterns for these tokens or lexemes. So how to write the patterns for these tokens? Now, we will start from number. Already you have written it in previous classes. So how exactly number look like? So digit, I am going to give one name to this regular expression. Regular expression for number is 0 to 9, correct? Which is in the bracket, square bracket, which is indicating a range, which is a shorthand of 0, pipeline 1, pipeline 2, pipeline 3, pipeline up to 9. Instead of writing like that, in shorthand I have written 0 to 9 in a square bracket. That is character class. We call it as character class. Okay. So for this regular expression, I have given a name, that is a digit. So this is called as a regular definition. Okay. In fact, this entire thing you can call it as a rule. Okay. Or else you can call it as a pattern. Okay. So here this number looks like this, 0 to 9. That is a digit. And after that, digits. You can observe here the singular and plural. Singular is 0 to 9, and digits means more than 1. Because it is plural here, because of that only digit plus is there. What do you mean by it? Plus always matches one or more occurrences. So one or more digits. Okay. Then you define the number here. Your actual pattern for your number. So how to write the number pattern? Number is nothing but it is a digits followed by optional fraction followed by optional exponent. So followed by it means that number may be only integer number, or if you take it as a floating point number, then after digits one dot will be followed, and after that some digits will be followed, right? So this is not compulsory for a number, it is optional fraction. Okay, so because of that only question mark is there. What do you mean by question mark? It matches 0 or 1. Okay, so 0 or 1 digits will be there. After that, followed by again 0 or 1 followed by 0 or 1 optional plus or minus, then 0 or 1 digits will be there. Okay, so this is about number. And in this definition, in RHS side, you can observe here, so digits is there, and here also digits is there, but you don't know what is digits, right? So earlier only you have defined it. Instead of defining it in the next line, before only you defined it. Digits is nothing but here digit plus, and right now you don't know what is digit. Already you have defined it, so you already know it. That is digit is a 0 to 9. So after defining number, you could define a digits and digit. But here for safer side, what I am doing is first I am defining all the non-terminals here, then I am going to define the main token here. Clear? Next comes to identifier. Let us write a pattern for identifier. See, the first three statements are there, no, here. These first three statements are for number. These are the patterns for number. Okay. Then let us write a pattern for identifier. So how pattern look like this for identifier? Identifier pattern look like this, right? Letter followed by 0 or more letters or digits, because star is here. And one thing you are missing here, that is after letter, here underscore is missing here. So if you want, you can take underscore here. Just author has not taken here, you can take underscore here, no problem. So our identifier looks like this exactly. Yes or no? So this is a regular expression for identifier. But now the question is, what is letter and what is digit? Already I defined what is digit. Okay. So then I want to define now what is letter. So letter will be like this: capital A to Z and small letter A to Z. Okay, so in this letter also you could take, after this small letter Z, you could take underscore here, but author has not taken. You can take here, no problem, no worries. Okay, A to Z and A to Z. This is also character class. Then the next question comes to very important and very interesting, that is if then else we have to define. If then else, what are these? These are keywords, right? So for them the names will be same here, that is if, and here also if. Then what is the difference, sir, here? So yesterday in previous classes only I told you, in italics whatever I am writing, these are called as symbols, and in bold letters whatever I am writing, they are called as regular expressions. So try to make a difference between this if and RHS if. Both are not same. Okay, RHS if is a regular expression, LHS if is a symbol. Remember, these all are symbol. In fact, our terminals are called as symbols only. Our non-terminals are called as symbols. Terminals and non-terminals are called as symbols. Clear? Then THEN, ELSE. These three are keywords. So as it is, we have defined them and we have given one name to them. Same name I have given here. Then one more interesting token is a relational operator. For relational operator, how exactly it takes the pattern? Relational operator may be less than, or else it may be greater than, or else it may be less than or equal to, or it may be greater than or equal to, or it may be equal to. As I told you in Pascal, equal to is nothing but single assignment operator. Okay, so then it may be not equal to. Not equal to is indicated by less than and greater than symbol in our Pascal language, remember. Okay, so these are the patterns for our tokens. What are the tokens we defined now? I defined the tokens: number, identifier, relational operator, else, if, then. Okay, these all things we have written. So previously I had written, no, that is grammar for branching statements, if and if else statement. So now what I am writing? I am writing the patterns. I am writing the patterns for tokens. Then we should write one more pattern for white space, because sometimes in our C programming language, always frequently we use a space in between data type and variable, right? So such type of spaces also our lexical analyzer should identify, right? So because of that only, separate lexeme for that white space lexeme, we have written one more separate definition here, one more pattern here. The white space look like always like this. It will be either blank space, or else it will be a tab, or else it will be a new line. Okay, new line character. These are the possible characters for white space: single space, or tab, that is nothing but sequence of some 8 spaces, and or else it will be new line. Okay, and if you observe at the end here, I have used a plus here. What do you mean by it? Plus is nothing but it is going to match one or more these blanks or tab or new line. One or more, it means minimum one space is there, then only we will call it as a white space. Clear now? Okay, and see, whenever six relational operators, so just now we have studied less than, greater than, and less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, not equal to. For these all symbols or relational operators, okay, if you identify that operator as one mm, uh, token, okay, because all whatever the bold letters I had written there, ID, number, if, then, else, these all are called as tokens. So if you consider the token a relational operator, so in the first class I told you, for operators usually we don't use attribute value in a token. Token is a pair, token name comma attribute value. So there, for identifiers only we had given token name as a ID, as well as attribute value also we had given. If you want, you observe that diagram when I was explaining compiler phases or structure of a compiler. Okay, so there I had taken one simple assignment statement there, right? So there, for identifiers only we had taken attribute values. For operators like multiplication operator, arithmetic operator like plus, star, and assignment operator, equal mark, we have not taken attribute value. But here here we are going to take attribute value for relational operators, because if you write only token name like RELOP and you don't write attribute value, then compiler or a lexical analyzer will get confusion that which relational operator, because 6 or 7 relational operators are there. So because of that only, to avoid that confusion, explicitly you have to give a attribute value to your token name. For example, if your relational operator is less than, then you should write the attribute value as a LT. Okay, to make the lexical analyzer confusion free. Okay, so then if your less than or equal to symbol or operator is there, then you should write the attribute value as LE. Greater than GT, greater than or equal to GE, equal to EQ, not equal to NE. Like this, any one value you should give there. So such type of values we are going to take as a attribute value. Okay, so then we will see some here lexemes and their token names and attribute values. For lexemes like white space, so token name we have not given anything here and it doesn't have any value here since it is a blank space. Okay, then for lexeme, if the token name is if, token name itself is a if, okay, then attribute value is not necessary, and then is a lexeme and token name is also then, and no attribute value is necessary, and else and token name is also else, no attribute value is necessary. Then any identifier, for any identifier the token name is ID, and this identifier is nothing but, so it may be A, B, or any variable you take that, for that variable the identifier is a ID, sorry, token name is a ID, and attribute value for this token name will be pointer to the table entry. In our symbol table we will keep on inserting these identifiers, and in which entry of that table you have made a entry of that variable, to that point, to that table entry, to that table entry we will keep on pointing, and that pointer to that table entry will be the attribute value. Okay, then any number, if you consider any number, again that number will be inserted into the table, and pointer to that table entry will be the attribute value. So just now I told you, for a token name relational operator we have these lexemes. For these all lexemes or token names we have these attribute values. Relational operators, these all are relational operators: less than LT, less than or equal to LE, equal to EQ, not equal to NE, greater than GT, greater than or equal to GE. Like this we can do these all things. These are the tokens and their patterns and their attribute values. I think you are getting some idea now. Now let me to go to next topic, that is a transition diagrams. Very interesting. Already I think you have seen transition diagrams in ATAC subject. Okay, so in our previous classes I told you about two pointers, lexeme begin and forward pointer. Lexeme begin pointer and forward pointer in input buffering, two buffers. So here also we are going to use these lexeme begin and forward, but they are not visible here. How we are going to see them, I will tell you. Okay, so see, what are the transition diagrams? Okay, so intermediate step in our construction of lexical analyzer. Okay, intermediate step in a lexical analyzer, the first thing what we are going to do is we are going to convert the patterns whatever just now we have written. We have to convert these patterns into now onwards in the form of flowchart. So that is called as a transition diagram. The converting the patterns into stylish flowchart is called as transition diagram. So you can call transition diagrams are nothing but flowcharts for patterns, and it is also one of the intermediate step of our lexical analyzer. It is also part of our lexical analyzer. So transition diagram generation or generating the transition diagrams is also task of lexical analyzer. So here what we are going to do is we are going to perform the conversion. Which conversion? Conversion from regular expression patterns to transition diagrams. Okay, what we are doing? We are converting the patterns of what? For what we had written patterns? We had written the patterns for regular expressions, right? So these patterns we will convert into transition diagram with our hand, by hand. Okay, so there is a so there are some methods are there. So here how exactly these transition diagrams look like? Transition diagrams have a collection of nodes or circles. Usually we call them as a states. Okay, so whatever the circles you will look into the transition diagrams, they are nothing but states. So from one state to another state we will be keep on moving, and these circles or nodes will be having some outgoing arrow marks. Those arrow marks are called as edge, and these edges will be having some labels. So based on that label, if that label occurs, then only the transition will happen. So let us see here. Edges are directed from one state to another state, and these edges are labeled by what? Labeled by some symbol. Okay, so if that symbol occurs there or it is satisfying there, then only the transition will be happened from the previous state to next state. Okay, suppose if we are in some state like a small letter s, remember it is not a string, small letter s is here state. Okay, so if next input symbol will be in our input characters, in our input symbol, if it is a, okay, that input symbol is a, then above that label, above that edge, we will write one label. That label will be a. Okay, the state is s and the next state may be t. From s to t, one arrow mark is there. That arrow mark itself is a edge, and on top of that edge we write the a, that is a symbol, input symbol. If a symbol occurs there, then state will be transitioned from s state to t state, that is next state. Okay, then we will forward or we will advance or we will increment the pointer, our move pointer. We will move again the pointer forward to the next character or next input. Okay, so like this we will use again the same two pointers, that is lexeme begin and the forward pointers here. Okay, so let us see some transition diagrams. This is a example. So you may be asked in your exam to draw this transition diagram for relational operator. This transition diagram is used to recognize the lexemes. See the sentence here. Okay, this transition diagram is for what? To recognize the lexemes or tokens. So particularly which token? Relational operator. Okay, so here let us see what we are doing here. We have taken a start as an initial state. Okay, that is a start. With a label start, we have started our transition diagram. Then relational operator, for relational operator we are drawing this transition diagram, correct? The relational operator, first possible relational operator, I take it as a less than. Okay, so if you look into in your input of your program as a less than, then you will shift to next state, that is 1. Okay, so here there are three possibilities are there after reaching state number 1. What are those three possibilities? So you know this less than already you have seen, and after this less than in your program, in this portion, you just observe my mouse cursor where I am showing you. After this less than, in this place you may have one identifier, or else you may have one number, or else you may have one equal mark, or else you may have one greater than symbol. These are the four possibilities are there. Are you understanding what I am telling? So after this less than, you may have identifier, you may have number, or you may have a equal mark, or you may have a greater than. Okay, so if you have after this less than symbol, if you have equal mark, then you should move to the next state, that is a state number 2, and it is the final state, because after equal mark there is no chance of a combination of the operators with less than. Okay, it is not a possibility. There is no any such operator in our programming language or in our mathematics, right? So 2 will be the final state, and after reaching 2, our our lexical analyzer will return the symbol less than or equal to, or that token less than or equal to the next phase, that is syntax analysis or syntax analyzer. So what it is going to return? It is going to return token name comma attribute value. Token name is a relational operator, attribute value is less than or equal to. Okay, so then Second possibility is after less than, immediately there may be one greater than, which is in a Pascal language, which is called as not equal to. So if it is a greater than immediately after less than, then you come to third state and you make it as a final state. Then you return the token, that is relational operator less than, not equal to. Okay, then apart from this equal mark and greater than, if something is different here, if something is different, it means it may be identifier or it may be number here, then definitely it is just simply less than. It is not less than or equal to, or it is not equal to. It is simply less than, then that I will call it as a other. It means identifier or number may be present here, I will call it as other. If any other symbol is present here, anything is present here, then you return that token as a relational operator, and it is called as a simply less than. Are you understanding? Okay, so after 0, the another relational operator may be equal mark. Then if it is only single equal mark as in our Pascal language, then you end that state into the fifth state as a final state and return that token. That token is a token name is a relational operator, token attribute value is a equal, EQ. And next relational operator may be greater than, and again here after greater than there may be equal mark or greater than or equal to, and after the greater than identifier may be there, number may be there, anything may be there, then it is simply a greater than. Okay, so this is a transition diagram for relational operator, and here the last state is the eighth state, and the same transition diagram we will keep on continuing, we will keep on extending in the next topics also. Just remember, here I ended with the eighth state. Okay, this is a transition diagram for relational operator. Have you understood? So let us go to next diagram. Okay, next topic, that is recognition of reserved words. Reserved words. Reserved word means what in our programming languages? Keywords, right? So just now we have recognized the token relational operator. Okay. Similarly, you can identify or recognize arithmetic operators also. Okay, even logical operators also. So all operators, for all operators you can write a transition diagram. And here since I am using only if then statements, that is conditional statements, branching statements, I am interested only in relational operators. That's why I have drawn that transition diagram for relational operators. Now I am going to recognize the reserved words, that is nothing but keywords, as well as I am going to recognize the identifiers. So first thing what I am going to do is here, if you write the pattern for identifiers, okay, if you write the pattern for identifiers, so that pattern will be almost same for the keywords also, because in keywords what happen? In keywords, all keywords almost in, I think in C language there are 32 keywords are there. Okay, so almost in C language there are 32 keywords are there, like if, else, then, break, continue, okay, switch, do, while, okay. So these all are keywords. So these all keywords are reserved words. It means they have their predefined meaning. We cannot use them for any other purpose, right? So because of that only we call them as reserved words. So these all are written in compulsorily in lowercase letters. So then if you write a pattern for keywords, the same pattern will be applicable for identifiers also, because identifiers are also having letters and digits. So but letters here in identifier you can take uppercase letters. Okay, and in addition to letters, in identifiers you can take some digits and underscores also. So that's why, so here some almost same is there, but a small some differences are there. To make these problems avoidable, we use some methods here. Those methods I will tell you. Okay, so just wait here. So whenever we look into this if and then, or else if you look into if or then, which are called as reserved words. Okay, so here they are not identifiers, they are not variable names, even though they look like a variables. So why I cannot use if as a variable? Of course you can use, no problem, correct, because suppose if you declare three variables like this, that is int a comma b comma semicolon. So three variables you declared now. So instead of a comma b comma sum, you can take the variable name as a if, then, else. That also you can take. Who is stopping you, right? But to avoid the confusion, because in our C program we may use some if statement by writing them in a small letter if. We may write then, we may write else. So because of that only, it is advisable to avoid such type of variable names which are similar to keywords. Okay, but how our machine will understand now this thing? So where the programmer has written if keyword, or where the programmer has written if variable. Okay, to make this decision only, we are going to use two methods here. And what are those methods? I will tell you. Just wait here. First, let us draw a transition diagram for identifiers as well as keywords. The same transition diagram can be used for identifying the identifier token also, as well as a keyword token also, that is keywords also. So what is that diagram? See here, again I am continuing my previous diagram with the state number 9 here. Suppose any letter is there, any letter in your input. Okay, so then you go to the next state, that is state number 10, and again in that state continuously one or more number of letter or digits, if they are repeating them, then you will be here only. Okay, so once after the completion of all letters or all digits, then after that if anything comes there, or any different thing comes apart from letter or digit, if any other thing or any other symbol comes there, for example in our C program, you have defined three variables just now, a comma b comma sum. Okay, a is there, right? A is a variable. So in your, if you are in a state 9 and if you have received the input as a, then it is a letter, then you should move to the next digit, sorry, next state. Okay, then after that a, what character is there? Comma is there, correct? So once comma is there, you will go to the next state and you will decide it as a final state. Clear now? So then b also, for b also same thing. And one more variable you defined, that is sum. So first letter s, so you entered into state number 10, and second letter u, third letter m, and then after that semicolon is there, right? So it is considered as other, then you will go to the final state. So it is a perfect transition diagram for our variables or identifiers. In fact, you can include here underscore also. For our convenient purpose or our simplicity purpose, we have not included here, that's all. And if you try to scan our keywords also, almost all keywords are, they are just a sequence of characters which are in lowercase letters. So same thing will happen, same as transition diagram will be applicable for our keywords also. Letter followed by n number of letter followed by n number of letter. If anything other found there, like a space or a open brace or a open parenthesis, then it will reach the final state. Because if you consider if only, if, how you write if statement in your C program? First you write I, then f, after f you write one open parenthesis. So that open parenthesis I consider here as a other. Then you go to the final state, and the lexeme found was a if. Are you understanding? So this is how we identify the keywords and variables. Okay, so here after reaching final state, what our lexical analyzer is returning? Okay, our lexical analyzer is returning token. Which token? Get token and install ID. It means that here it is going to do not exactly the token name and as an attribute value. Here it is going to return us again two sub task here. What it is going to tell us? You get the token now, because now you identify that token, you get the token now. Okay, then you install the identifier. If it is identifier, you insert it, you install it in our symbol table. Install is nothing but insert that identifier in a symbol table. Okay, so why we are returning these two here? These are the very important, so that we can identify whether it is identifier or keyword. These two are very important. Clear now? The first method, first how to handle this problem, which is a keyword, which is the variable. See, this first what we are going to do, I already told you symbol table, we are using all phases of our compilation process are communicating with this symbol table. Whenever you identify any input, any lexeme, any token, you just keep on inserting them into the symbol table. But one condition is here, that symbol table, whatever you are using, no, that symbol table should be pre-loaded. Pre-loaded means what? Already you know in your language what all the keywords are there. Suppose if you consider C language, there are around 32 keywords are there. Those all 32 keywords should be arranged alphabetically, or they have to be, they should have already inserted in that symbol table. Okay, already these all keywords should be present there. Suppose if second time, if you are writing, if you are writing anything there, like for example, if you have taken small letter if only as a variable in your program, then that if will be tried to insert it into that symbol table, but already if is there as a keyword, then at that time that if will not be accepted, or else it will be accepted but not as a keyword, it will be received as a variable or identifier. I hope you are understanding, guys. Very interesting topic I am discussing. Already if is present in the symbol table as a keyword. If you want to take a small letter if only as a variable, you can take that if will be inserted in the symbol table as a variable or identifier, not as a keyword, because already if is present as a keyword there. Okay, so by doing so, our lexical analyzer will make a clear differentiation between keywords and identifiers. So instead of if you take any sum, a, b variable, then there will be no any problem at all. Okay, because a, b, sum, such kind of keywords are not present there. Simply it will insert them into the symbol table easily without any worries. It will find these variables in that symbol table. If it is not present there, then it will insert them. Even though if it is present, then it will identify it as a variable or identifier, not as a keyword. So like this, it will make a differentiation between keyword and identifier. So one more second option is, for every keyword, you have to keep on drawing the transition diagram. For example, THEN1 keyword, for THEN. So you should write a transition diagram like this for each and every keyword. Then what happens, sir? After the last character of your keyword, you have to make one test here. One test. Which test you have to make? That test is, after the last character scanned, after n, is there anything here? Is there anything here? If anything is not present here, then THEN is a proper correct keyword it is. Otherwise, after n, suppose one underscore or something is there, then it will not take it as a keyword. It will consider it as a variable, because already it know what all the variables are present in this programming languages. Okay, because of that only here I have written the label